It is pitch black out here, man. I can't see a thing. Wait. Lights? Lights in the distance? I've been trapped out in the woods for weeks again. Is this? Yes! At last, civilization. I mean, forget that truck stop I found and those 4 different groups of campers that offered to drive me back. You haven't found real civilization. Until you found a roadside diner. Hello everyone, and welcome back once again to Gary's Mod. And today, the map we're going to be exploring is GM Blackwood, a small rural town right in the middle of a big spooky forest, which we may want to avoid for a little while. I can see a water tower off in the distance, those streetlights stretching off into nothing. But this place provides a brief oasis, someplace you can stop, get refreshed, and maybe even have a nice conversation or two. In other words, this is exactly my vibe. And someone else's as well. We may be in the middle of nowhere, but I see that even this place has that distinctive stub lighting. This, of course, is another map by Stub that just recently came out. I've been really excited for it since the trailer dropped a few days ago, and now we're here. Now, for those who aren't familiar, I've played several of this creator's maps on the channel before, such as GM Viscera, Fever Dreams, basically too many to count at this point. So, let's have a look and see what's out here. Ooh. Look at this. I see we're keeping these floors immaculately polished. This is so cool. It's all in one. A convenience store, a diner, and a gas station. It's even got outdoor seating. I mean, where do you see things like this? Certainly not something that's normal to my experience. But something which I can very easily appreciate. Now look, people are just littering all over the place. Thank you. Let's find a trash can. Oh wow, the floors actually are wet. I am so sorry. Some employee must have just cleaned up in here. Hang on, let's put you away. Wow, that is crazy. Oh, look at that. We can actually see the ceiling fan moving in the floor. It's so reflective. That's rare. And can you imagine just sitting down and putting on the jukebox in what is basically a gas station? It's funny, because coming into a small town like this, I of course immediately have to make the association with Twin Peaks, it being so influential and all. And I'm actually in the process right now of rewatching it with Elster, who hasn't seen it before at all, and this is sort of reminding me visually of what was going on in The Return. It's the same sort of location, but it's darker and the colors are cooler. It's sort of got this thing going on where it's almost like what I would call rural modern, where we tend to associate rural areas like this with being like decades in the past. We think of that as like 50s, 60s, 70s, but a couple decades in the past is always moving up. And so, I don't know, you come to these places now, you see things you might not tend to expect. Let's see, is there anything back here? Not really. Although there are boxes of fireworks, I don't know what a gas station wants with those. Seems, I don't know, short-sighted in a couple of ways. There's trails leading off into the woods here. I can see some streetlights, so there may be another road just on the other side of this. And we'll have to comb the woods later. Knowing this creator, there may be all kinds of secrets. Let's climb up to the roof. There's a convenient ladder right here. This is a really nice place. Whoa. Look at that. Off in the woods somewhere, these massive smokestacks from abandoned industry. And you know it's abandoned because they don't even have the little red light on them to warn planes and stuff. But then again, I guess it's not as hazardous as the mountains sitting dark and silent behind them. And I think we've found our ride. I mean, hey, I don't see any cops around. Okay, actually we do, but you know what? Nobody's here. Nobody's here, which means we can pretty much help ourselves, right? Yeah. Hang on, can we get a better view from the top of the gas station? We really did crawl out of the woods and immediately start committing crimes, didn't we? Not making a great first impression. But yeah, wow, even from up here, there is not a whole lot. The road is weirdly offset. I guess that may be an intersection. But other than that, we really are in the middle of nowhere. But not so far from somewhere. Look. Hey, 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 it looks like there's a whole city over there. All right, so that's ultimately where we're going to want to go after we've explored this area a bit more. In the meantime, what's the best way down? Thanks. You can always trust your local neighborhood police department. Now, let's see if this thing runs. Ooh. Here we go. This thing's got some kick to it. Wow, so convenient to find it this way. If only I had had this while I was in the woods, I never would have left. You know, because you can't drive it between the trees and all. Alright, so which way do we go first? Probably this way, right? I mean, look, I know the town is over there, but we're probably going to want to explore all that's around first, right? The performance is not amazing right now, but then again, we're kind of asking a lot of Gary's mod. Okay. I see, there's a turn right here. Ooh, and a tunnel. Alright, well, I'm sure we'll be hearing from that in a second. First, let's go as far down as one can. Ooh, a graveyard. Never mind. Never mind. I'll never deny an opportunity to be a ghoul. Okay, never mind. This is our first stop. Look, there's a fire watch tower. Okay, I bet we can get some really good views from there. See, this is why we do scouting. It's important. But first, let's scout who's buried 6 feet under around here. Ooh. What is that? A little graveyard keeper's shack? Or perhaps a mausoleum? A chapel? And I guess somebody does maintain it, given the lit candles here. Although it doesn't look like it's too well maintained. This seal is all tagged up. Now that's a beautiful angle. Look, they've got lights just hanging from the trees, little lanterns in the dark. Kind of reminds me of like a spirit festival or something. This place is actually beautiful, and, well, before you step outside, it almost looks like another walk in the park. Which I suppose it is. Oh my. This isn't your typical grave robbing situation. Somebody's been exhumed. Took the body, left the casket, but who would do that and why? I think we got a real sicko in this town we're entering. Maybe we were better off in the woods. Any other victims? Well, not that I can see. I love little weird finds like that because it's so counter to the style. Everything, by all accounts, seems so normal so far. But we're given that one little hint that something sketchy is going on out here. And I'd be lying if I said it didn't make me a little bit nervous walking through those woods in front of my headlights alone. I think I'll feel a little bit better if I can get up into the tower, though. Where's your stairs? Other side? You know, a fire watch tower is something of a double-edged sword in a horror situation. On the one hand, you get great awareness, you can see all around. But on the other, everybody knows just where you are at all times. Well, it seems to be unoccupied, so we're not going to be getting help anytime soon. But yeah, we can see there's definitely something behind the gas station. I keep getting jump scared by the shadows of those paper towel rolls. Keep thinking there's somebody staring at me from just on the other side of the window. Look at that, we can see a whole city on the mountain up there. And were it not for those lights, we'd hardly even know the mountain was there. There is a road running back there, so even if we were to continue around, I think we could make a full loop and gain a better lay of the land. This is definitely struggling performance-wise, but to be fair, we're kind of asking a lot right now. Alright, let's check this out, and preferably close the door behind us. Ooh, what does this do? I swear I heard something just at that moment, but okay, we can do it this way. Huh. Well, it's in good shape at least, and this is great because I've never seen a fire watch tower that answers the question of what do you do for a bath? And to be fair, probably most of them don't have facilities like this because they don't need them. This one only has it because it's close to a town, and these utilities are out here anyway. Well, I've got to imagine then that this is one of the more comfortable posts. Let's make it even more so. There we go. Now that's more like it. No. No, it's still fairly eerie. I mean, just imagine lying on the couch in the middle of the night, the lights are off, only the glow from the TV, and you just sort of think that maybe against the sky you saw the silhouette of a head passing up by the stairs. It may be a loner's dream, but it's also the kind of thing where a horror enthusiast could very easily work themselves up over next to nothing. Or something, maybe. I always hate that moment when I'm walking back to a car with the headlights on, because I don't know what's worse, the idea that were I to turn around I'd see something else illuminated coming up behind me, or the idea of seeing someone step in front of those headlights, or to see those headlights pulling away. Ugh. Okay, I guess I moused over the light for a second. I was really startled by that. Maybe I really am working myself up, but hey, now that we're in a vehicle, at least nothing can catch us. Except for a ghost car, hellhounds. Really, all kinds of things can catch a car now that I think about it. What am I talking about? That demon from It Follows. If I stop somewhere, which I'll have to eventually. Oh, look at this. I mean, it may all seem like useless, empty space, but it serves a purpose. It's almost hypnotic, seeing that stuff in the distance, the streetlights passing over us one by one. But it seems like we finally have found some place to stay. And though the streets may be empty, everyone turned in for the night, or else at their favorite bar or restaurant. We've finally got some place to hang our hats. Alright, let's park this thing over here. Oh boy, I really hope they don't notice this car is stolen. In fact, I'm thinking we should probably just leave it here for the time being. There we go. I'd pull the headset just slightly up so I could see my keyboard for that. Alright, back in the game. So, let's have a look around. It said on the workshop page that this map features actually a number of enterable interiors, and well, now that we're walking the streets, I can't help but be reminded of a map I played last year called RP Rudmerge. That was also a small forest town, Also alongside a river, but this one seems, I don't know, a bit more depressed. Things are a bit older, more bleak looking. But it's still definitely cozy to the right person. It's me. I'm the right person. I do have to say, though, while it may not seem quite as clean or as modern as Rudmerge, it more than makes up for that in personality. Look, these old-style street lamps, their yellow hue tinging the streets. In a lot of ways, it sort of reminds me of my old hometown compared to where I live now. And if it's anything like that, well, even a place like that can still have a great community. I mean, sure, it might be a little spooky in, like, the late hours. I imagine this is, like, 2, 3 a.m. But what about 10 o'clock? You know, I can just imagine people walking back to their cars as the restaurants let out, couples walking together. I mean, it's got a really nice atmosphere, even in spite of the graffiti and the boarded windows. And for people like me, maybe even because of. But let's start some random home invasions. This is an Explorer after all. I didn't come here for nothing. I always loved stopping in towns like this also on road trips. Like, I don't want to pull over and get Burger King when we need some, people fuel. I want to go to someplace local. I want to see what's off the roads because, to me, you know how they always say that getting there is half the fun? Well, the stuff you see along the way is what makes getting there half the fun. And I like seeing places like this. Someplace that isn't a big city, someplace that isn't all developed with only the newest things, and where everything isn't such a strip mall, you know? I've voiced my frustrations with the Long Island South Shore many a time, and I am not stopping here. Places like this make me angry out of jealousy. Nice. Look at how beautiful this is. Imagine turning off that lamp and having just that little glow from the streetlights fill your room. Especially while you're on the computer. It's even got the 2000s style, so the game of choice would be like the original Call of Duty. We've got an enterable restaurant. Red Flight Bar and Cafe. Alright, everybody, I'm here. Oh. They've turned off most of the lights for the night. Okay, this place didn't get the memo. Well, I see we've got similarly cleaned floors, but yeah, this place doesn't have nearly the vibes that the rest of the street does. Well, the jukebox is a good start. I'm gonna come in here and bar rescue this place. I mean, hey, maybe the owner's willing to sell. That could be my in to this town. Another way in is through the police. And given my crime spree tonight, I'm sure they will be happy to talk to me. What's up, losers? This is not the first time I've walked into a police station this way. But I've always walked out. Wow, this place is making it unusually easy. Police station's got a basement. Ooh, what does a police station keep in its basement? Oh wow, this place is falling apart. No wonder they can't control their graffiti problem. Or apparently their grave robbing problem. This is how you get the local crazy, building an army of zombies. And if I know my B-movies, this place will be swarming with the undead before you know it. Well, now I'm being reminded of The Dead Don't Die. Ooh. No way. The police are holding out on everyone. It's falling apart and moldy down here, but they're storing all the comfy to themselves up here in their offices. They can't do that. I mean, now that I'm here, they probably can. 'Cause I'm here. Well, I guess there is some shared suffering, considering this is right under the chief's desk. Wonder if there's any information about goings-on around town here. Nope, just stock assets. Dude, this place is so nice. Never ever underestimate the moody power of one lamp in the corner of a big room. Especially when you've got these dark wood blinds. Absolutely gorgeous. I mean, never underestimate the power of a vending machine for lighting. After all, that's pretty much the whole liminal vibe of workplaces at night, right? Being the last one, doing a few more errands. Okay. We'll make our way upstairs. It seems like we're going straight into concrete nightmares again. Ooh, we're on the roof. Though this doesn't seem like the kind of police department that has a helicopter. It does have a convenient path into the abandoned building next door. Look at that. I wonder if they know about this. Let's be real. This is probably the local hoodlums having a way to climb in and either break their buddy out of jail or, I don't know, steal the files on their pending case. Wow, that is convenient placement, isn't it? And something tells me this is one of those places where the police all go home at 5 o'clock. There's a movie theater across the street. We'll definitely check that out next. See, one of my biggest wants is the ability to go back in time and just hang out in different decades to see what it was like, you know? Because I'm old enough to remember a time before smartphones and constantly being reachable and everything on the internet. But I'm also young enough that that's been most of my life. So it's really hard to imagine even life in something as recently as the 90s. I was in the 90s, man. I remember the 90s. So when I say stuff like this, it kind of brings back some of those memories. You start to recall details that seemed insignificant because they are, but they really form the experience. It's the smallest things that can send you right back. Oh, yeah. Couple of jail cells right down here, where nobody can hear you scream if the corrupt local sheriff decides to torture some information out of you that isn't necessarily true. Look, I may have seen lots of small-town media like Twin Peaks and Gravity Falls and The Goonies, but I've also seen Rambo, so it's important to diversify your expectations when it comes to small towns. Okay, let's go see that movie theater. Doesn't look like they're holding any young ruffians here tonight. Funny thing is, I don't even have to care if that car gets towed. Ooh, a liquor store. Still wide open even in the dead of night. I guess the owner has just completely given up. Might as well be a sign out here that says, help yourself. Funnily enough, though, they only really seem to care about the snacks. Maybe liquor isn't the substance of choice in this town. Actually, we've got to make another stop before the theater because there's a little house over here. This all feels really familiar. Oh! No, that's why. So many of these environments are just remixed. Look, because the Firewatch Towers have featured on several of Stubbs' maps, although that one was a little bit changed. This is a house design we've seen before in, what was it called? RP Northbury, or GM Northbury. Yeah. And hey, that's not even unrealistic. I mean, the house my cousin lives in is basically almost a carbon copy of the one I lived in as a kid. When they got it, it was super trippy. Oop. It seems like you could stand to control the growth outside your house a little bit more. See, this is what I love. A computer directly in front of a window, looking out into the dark night, into the woods. Able to get a clearer picture during the day, but knowing what's out there by night. And that's if you turn off the light and kill the reflections. This would be such a great town for like an American Crypta FM, wouldn't it? And yeah, when you can actually look down the streets, it really does look like every 50s B-movie I've seen. And most particularly The Blob, which is just as well, considering we're walking over to the movie theater now. Wonder what's playing. Unexpected Love, The House at the End, and of course, Blackwood. because we've got to be meta here. Anything back here? It doesn't seem so. Ooh, but this place has certainly got style. And it's making use of the floors the way most places would use mirrors, making it seem bigger than it is. Actually, I really like the stylistically low ceiling, but with all the glow-in-the-dark little stars on it. Ooh. Wonder what we're watching tonight. And able to have your pick of the seats, although preferably not the gouged cushion ones. I think just right here is fine. Perfect. I love these little one-screen movie theaters. There used to be one in Montauk that was really nice, and it's so small, I swear, it's a bike shop now. I remember the first time I went there, it was to see the 2004 Hellboy movie, and the front entrance was so small, it was literally like a narrow walkway. That there was just no space left after the concession stand. Napoleon Dynamite was coming out, and so there was a big cardboard cutout there, and with that, it just absolutely ground everything to a halt. People were having to, like, push down in single file. Ooh, we've got an upstairs where they have their whole library of films. I guess they've got a modernized projection setup, no film reels up here. Look at that, these windows look not into the street, but down into the alleyway next door. And there's another little spot up here. Look, we can even observe from the sides. That is so cool. I don't know if I've ever seen something like that in a theater before. Well, actually, I've seen something sort of like it in a stage theater that I worked in a couple of years ago. Can we do anything with this? Doesn't seem so. I'm real curious about where this staircase leads. Ah, okay, so this comes out into the concession, and I guess the other one is into the alley then, right? No! Ah, here's where they change the coming attractions. This map has definitely been more on the comfy side of creepy, but if anything, I think that enhances the creepy we've seen so far. It's just a nice, sleepy little town with at least one dark secret that we've seen so far. Let's see. See, look, how are you guys doing this? It's like everybody maintains their own space immaculately, and all the common areas are just left to rot. This place looks like it's falling apart, and then you've got this really nice little apartment up here. Absolute comfy. What kind of cereal are you using? Oh, I can't see what it's called. How am I going to judge you now? Look at this. Imagine being a kid and having this be your view. I mean, when you're bored, you can always just people watch. You can always be the surprise witness revealed in the 11th hour of a dramatic small-town court case. Being the one that heard everything and saw what was going on the street below when they assumed everybody else was asleep. I think we've made our way through a lot of the town by now, or at least a lot of the town as it's explorable by us. This map is huge, and there is a lot of space. The creepiest parts of town have got to be these ones right here on the edge, the ones that back right onto the wilderness. It's actually crazy to me just how sharp that contrast is. So abrupt. Just some abandoned storage. Wow, we really are just leaving this place to the raccoons, going around opening every door in town. Hey, you. Okay, it's not bad if I cross the street for you, right? But it does look like there are some rooms available over there. Ah, and there's the tunnel. We'll walk through there yet. Okay, so these aren't apartments, these are more hotel accommodations. And, well, for as nice as they actually kind of are, I don't think I'd take something on the ground floor. I imagine these are all going to be mostly the same, right? I swear I just heard like a thud. That's weird, but it's kind of cool being able to see all the way up like this. There's even a little bit of variation in the decor. But yeah, I'm thinking these are more or less going to be the same. Still, gotta keep an eye out for any potential Easter eggs. Ooh. It's mighty dark up here. Hello, this is a great watch-in window, if I do say so myself. Man, now I'm just freaking myself out. I'm coming up with the story of that one room that they simply refuse to rent out. One that always has to stay empty under all circumstances until, well, a traveler comes in on the day a new employee is working and they accidentally get the forbidden room. Yeah, this place was freaking me out. I don't know what it is. It's the same sounds as always, but for some reason I just kept registering them as voices. Okay, where to next? The tattooist? And the post office. The cornerstone of any rural town. A place like this is a huge deal, and sometimes it's really more or less just a stand on the side of the road, but still. It seems like this is not much more than that. But they are appropriately fancy. What about you? Is this just more housing? Seems so. Oft repeated and, well, feeling more and more abandoned with each one, honestly. I swear I just heard something weird. Like a distant echoing growl as soon as I opened the door. I don't know what it is. The same was true of the Walton Files, which, I don't know when you're going to see this, but I just recorded that, like, basically this morning. And I was hearing weird things then, too, that I could not really explain in editing. You guys remember that, though? This is actually not the first time that's happened. Wasn't there a period where I was just, like, constantly hearing weird things that you couldn't in videos? And it stopped for a while. And now it's just kind of happening all over again, and it's really weird. Club D. Alright, must be some kind of Disney-related fan club. Okay. So it's the tattoo parlor, and I understand that's the chair, but for a second I really thought there was just a shadow person standing there. Look at that. You guys have got a little playground in the back. I'm sure it's a very nice place by day, but at night the streetlights just barely reach it. Gives it a real ominous feeling. In a way, this actually feels more like a graveyard than the graveyard did. Imagine seeing a couple of pale little hands clasped around those bars, but not able to see what's beyond. Looks like there's even more spaces for someone who wants to get up to shenanigans. Is there an easy way for us to get onto this building? There is. Wow, this is not just an eye candy map. It certainly creates an atmosphere, but there's a lot that you can do gameplay-wise. Okay, we're gonna have to be real careful now. Crouch down. Hear all my knees crack. Whoa, my God! Okay, no, after all this time, I wasn't expecting such an overt scare. Look at this. I would chalk this up to bored kids in town, but that's blood. Oh my. Can we hear anything from you? Seems to be the same as the other radio, not much. We can't go through there. We don't even get the satisfaction of finding out. Something really bad happened here. And I wonder if anybody even knows. Bored kids will get up to some things, but this does not seem like that kind of work. See, discovering this scene right here and getting the entire town buzzing, that's what would be the inciting incident in whatever TV show this is meant to be. But now you're really just going to make me walk away from it? Well, maybe there's some evidence up in that window, but first, let's go check out this Club D. Hello? Let me in? Oh, come on, it can't be that exclusive. No, come on! Everywhere else has let me in. Even the red flight. Doors back there don't look like they open either. But still, shut out of the nightlife, shut out of the town. Alright, let me go take my frustrations out on this last apartment. Look, I'm sure it's something they're used to. People getting turned away from the local bars, they gotta find some mischief to get into, right? Well, at least there were no unearthly growls this time. I like that the apartments themselves are fairly cookie-cutter and copy-paste, but at least the decor changes. It gives it a nice bit of personality, and it's not entirely unrealistic. And look at how cozy this is. Especially having a little seat at the corner here so you can kind of expand your field of view a bit. Oh, come on. You just know that this kid takes up photography as a hobby, and then one day he manages to get pictures of somebody who's not supposed to be at this club, and it becomes a whole local scandal. And so they're kind of protected by the fact that they're a child, but meanwhile the powers that be are trying to silently eliminate them without drawing suspicion. The plots just write themselves. And by write themselves, I mean somebody else wrote them years ago, and then other people wrote them over and over again. Oh, also there's like some kind of demonic sacrifice going on that we should probably tell somebody about. I wonder if it's connected to the grave robbing. Maybe somebody needed corpses. Maybe somebody's trying to bring somebody back. Howdy. You don't know me, but don't worry about it. I'm just exploring the town. Now, if it's anything like the Northbury map, yes, this leads to the garage. Unfortunately... Oh, wait, I have an idea. I have such an idea. Let's open the garage, and that's a surprise tool that can help us later. I mean, hey, we've learned the value of exploring every nook and cranny, right? In a place like this, you never know what you're going to find, and all the juiciest secrets are always under somebody's floorboards. Or out in the woods, or in the creek. I really do get a kick out of just walking these streets right now. I mean, it actually does remind me of some places near me, just with way fewer people, and this is one of the rare instances where I think it actually could stand to have more people around. I mean, after all, the sense of community is what makes it so cozy, right? But now, I was debating going and getting the car for this, but I think it'll be much more of a dare, the kind of thing the kids would put each other up to walk through the tunnel on foot. Imagine there's a power outage, and so the whole town is left dark, and so they all gather their newest member of the group and tell them that they have to walk all the way through. Tell them ghost stories about what might be lurking within when you can't see. It kind of reminds me of during Hurricane... It was either Irene or Sandy. The whole town lost power, and so we were driving around looking for some place to get food. And we went down this one back road with no houses on it, but lots of overgrowth. And we were just kind of slowly rolling through. And we turned on the high beams, and it turned out the whole dark road in front of us was just filled with kids. Like hundreds of them. And they all just scattered in front of us like roaches. It was really weird. Doesn't look like we're getting into the guts of the place, though. However, I believe once we get out, we should probably be able to see the back of the gas station again. And if not... Oh yeah, no, it's looking like it's still going to be another block. Although I think that's the cemetery right there. Yeah, there is a road here, but there doesn't seem to be anything on it. We ride again. Later, suckers. That was on purpose. Now, I'm guessing that there's probably an invisible wall back there. I'm not even going to bother turning the headlights on. I think it would be nice and atmospheric to just go for a cruise and let the streetlights do their thing. After all, that's what the taxpayers pay for, right? Subscribe to me for more life tips. Looks like this just turns on an elbow right here. Man, we are leaving so much empty forest just between us, aren't we? But there's something over there. Another fire watch tower. Okay. Let's stop that here. Remember, if you're driving through the woods and you see something interesting off the side of the road, make sure you stop your car in the middle of the road with the lights off. That way, when people come upon it, they'll be jolted to attention and realize there's something cool nearby. Oh, hey, you've got your own little shack. Is there something there? Oh my, another of the town's fascinating mysteries, the floating bottle. Very interesting. Wow. Oh, wow. This place is truly rotting. The power may be on, but it looks like it hasn't been used in years, even if the fire watch tower itself is still. Well, let's go see if this place is any different from the other one. Lights are already on. But nope, it seems to be more or less the same. Although it is pretty cool to be right up here, more or less at level with the mountain. And this sort of thing is what I've always loved about the style of Stubbs maps. Almost all of them take place at night, but instead of making it pitch black, there's always that slight blue tinge. And it's complemented by all the LED streetlights and the purple that's often in them. I don't know, it's a color palette that is unconventional for what would otherwise be a pretty realistic map, but one that nevertheless doesn't break the realism. It's just another way of representing night. Let me in. Once more, close the door behind us. Ooh, now this guy's got the upgrade. Got all the advanced computers and, well, actually more like a monitoring station. What does a park ranger need with a monitoring station? Wow. You know, it's funny, from this level up above the trees, this guy who is supposed to be so separate from society, even from the town, is one of the only ones who can actually see that city in its full glory. Well, I guess there are some perks of the job. It's weird how they're on both the most remote end and, in a way, more connected than everyone else. Meanwhile, you move to the back window, and it's a very different story. I am so curious to know what was going on with that ritual site. Because as the two creepy things we found, I can't help but think it's connected to the grave robbery. And if it is, bravo, because I really love that very subtle potential connection. Anyway, let's just rip on off into the night, because I don't want anything to do with this. I've actually completely lost my sense of direction, so we better start seeing some landmarks real soon. Yep. Pop the curb. Oh, thank goodness. Civilization. That was done with malice. Let's get out of here. Yep. Okay, of course I would like to drive through the tunnel because it would be cool. So let's just... Oh! I forgot this car could do this. It's so rarely I use the Half-Life 2 vehicles. Now, all we need is someplace safe to keep this. We've had quite a night out on the town, and surely folks are going to start asking questions. So we just need to make sure that there's someplace safe we can leave this thing. Remember, it's not even ours to begin with. So I'm sure the townspeople will be appreciative if we leave it with one of their own. And this guy can just make sure that it gets back to its rightful owner. Alright. There we go. Safe and sound. This has been a really cozy map to explore, and I just love the way it nails that small town atmosphere. And I like how each of the distinct areas actually still feels like a slice of a greater whole contributing to this. Because we've got the town itself, we've got the gas station and the tunnel through the mountains between us. We got the fire watch towers and just vast swaths of woods in between it all. And we can see the real towns off in the distance. It gives it the impression of some place that's been forgotten, that everything sort of moves around rather than through, but that things may have moved through here at one point. In the distance we can see all the abandoned industry that is probably what made this place's money back in the day. And so you get the impression of something that is kind of fallen on hard times, but maybe still has the same or a similar spirit. Speaking of spirits, we actually know that, or rather, we come in with the feeling that, okay, there's gotta be something creepy hiding on this map, and there is, but it's very downplayed. These two things which we get no context for, and which may or may not be connected. I love that. I love how it serves to be just one more side of this town. Of course, if there were to be anything out here, we would have to find it with a no-clip run, wouldn't you agree? And the best way to do that is by essentially becoming a police helicopter. You know, the one this place wishes it had. Later, losers, Forest Dude can fly now. I do wonder if there's actually anything out here in these woods. Wow, that is annoying. I forgot when you carry a lamp like this, it casts its own shadow. Oh, this feels so wrong to be doing. But we have reason to suspect there is a maniac on the loose. We've got some strange dirt patches in the forest. Paths running through. Huh. Look, there's a pathway up into the mountains. Should we maybe explore this for ourselves? Right off the side of the road, too. These shadows are really freaking me out, creating a lot of movement. Okay, you know what? Maybe we'll forget about this lamp for now. It's too bright anyway. Well, I don't know if we found any dark secret, but we've certainly got a nice view. There's an invisible wall up here. I mean, I say it all the time, but I really do feel like map making in Garry's Mod is almost a form of, like, location therapy. Just trying to make a place that feels cozy or creepy or whatever you're feeling in the moment. A world to your liking. And in a world of my liking, I can get into any club I want. Not that I really expected anything to be in here, but even still. Now, what about this room up here? Once more, I don't expect there to really be anything. But I do need to try going through that door. Nothing. I honestly half expected to be punished by a jump scare on that. Oh, hey, what is that? What is that? There's a little tent up here. Are they observing the town? Piles of old newspaper. What is this? Is this government or something else? And maybe recent events down here have gotten the attention of some from outside. Hang on. I feel like the presence of this tent changes everything. Oh, hey. There's a couple of bathrooms that I missed. A really weird bathroom set that I missed. Wow. This is a lot of space to not have a whole lot. You'd think these things would be as cramped as possible. And more of the same over here. I love the sense of mystery that the forests in this map create, because there's just so much space in between all of this, and it's dark and it's dense, and it makes it feel like, even though I've been through the whole map already, that there's something else hiding out there. The creator said that this may receive updates in the future, and for all I know, there's things I've missed right here, even in the no-clip run. But I'm honestly not sure if I want all of this to culminate in something. I mean, historically, when I've seen a pentagram on the floor, it's meant I need to bring back 5 artifacts or something. But whether there is or isn't, the feeling of being watched from the darkness, the feeling that we're in the middle of something much older than even the town itself, that's something that's very hard to qualify, and it's something that the map has just intrinsically. This map's got an undercurrent of creepy to the comfy, which is an inversion on what I normally explore on this channel, but it really, really worked out here. And if you like this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more creepy and comfy content. If you have any ideas for other videos you think I should do, the best place to suggest that will be at the Discord, which I will link in the description. If you want to try this map out for yourself, that link will also be in the description. If you want to support me on Patreon, that link will be in the description. And as always, I will see you in the next one. And if you don't mind, I'm going to see what they've got on the jukebox.